Good afternoon, evening, morning, night, everybody. Smaster Lodi checking in. Giving you guys a early impressions game review of I'm gonna hopefully say this right. You guys have corrected me a few times. No Kuni. I'm gonna screw it up again. No Kuni. I think. No Kuni Cross World. I'm probably still saying it wrong. We'll see. If it's not obvious, it's my first entry to the entire series. Never played one before. However, I am a veteran of a lot of MMORPGs. And I played my fair share of gachas too. So, I guess just kind of the overall art style. The Nino series always kind of attracted me in terms of just the art style and the game story and the gameplay and all that fun stuff. But I've never actually bought any of the main entries, so this one was right up my alley to check out. And without further ado, here's just some early first impressions of it. I have had, if I had to guess, probably about 50 hours of gameplay so far. This is definitely going to be a first impressions. My main character is only 53, max level is 100. But, the big thing I would say is always at the forefront of my mind when playing an MMO is this idea of, like, am I... So, like, when I log in, do I get lost in the world? Like, do I log in and, like, just, do I get kind of transported into this world, into this fantasy where I can feel connected with my characters, what's going on? And, I've got to tell you, from really the very, very beginning of the game, it is just, like, action-packed, decent story, awesome music, pretty fun gameplay. And, I've got to say, the overall experience for the game so far is that you are going to... Assuming this is your kind of style, it's your kind of game, it's your kind of art style, I think you're going to find yourself really enjoying it. I think that there is a deep sort of complexity to the gear system, to the progression system, to the game system. I believe the story itself is surprisingly thorough, surprisingly deep. And I can't say the game's not without its flaws. If you are somebody who is not a fan of, being kind of bombarded with, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, hey, buy this, you might want to steer clear of this game. You will find at nearly every corner a sort of perk or a pay here to get this, pay here to get this, which I have had a chance to check out a couple of them. So like my early gameplay, I did do the Daily Adventure, Daily Premium packs, which were, I think they were maybe 25 for both of them, 19 for both of them, I'm not sure. But there are quite a few mechanics of the game that, certainly offer you a sort of pay to skip, pay for convenience aspect that I know will turn some fans, will turn some potential fans off. I will address some of those big elephants in the room right away. The game absolutely has arguably the most controversial system in that it does have NFTs that are, and a sort of cryptocurrency skip, essentially, built into the game, where you can exchange your you can pay for real money for the exclusive NFT they made for this game, And it essentially allows you to kind of gamble on the crypto market and sort of trade that cryptocurrency for in-game currencies. The most notable being there is a extremely limited resource known as Territe in the game. And the absolute easiest way to boost your Territe in the game is to use the cryptocurrency system. And it's kind of interesting because the people I've seen that are the most upset about it are the high spenders of the games, the people who would be historically known as so-called whales. Because you're seeing people who are high spenders of the game that are spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on their characters, and they are getting outpaced by who I can only summarize as college kids that are spending a couple $100 on crypto and making these other people look bad. It's an interesting system because I put money in games like this. That, when I enjoy them, if they've got these different aspects of sort of convenience features, I'll give some money into the game, especially if I'm enjoying it. I think that's one of the most important things to address is that this game does not, in the slightest bit, require you to spend any money on anything. So, I mean, I will say to people who are potentially turned off by that, by a lot of these sort of pay-to-skip elements, by a lot of these, the cryptocurrency element, things like that. I mean, if it is absolutely, if it's a deal breaker, then it's not worth your time. But I will say, for the player versus environment content, take your time. You get, yes, you're going to get time gated, but there are a ton of catch-up mechanics in the game. The game features a AI mode that will basically play for you while you're offline. You can do certain things. There are some in-game, like the monthly purchases that are applicable to kind of increase that time. And what's nice is even if you are sort of out of the AI mode, you even get... If you have the AI mode, it will basically bot for you, and you can turn off your device. So you don't, I know people who will, like, keep their phones on all night in auto battle modes and stuff like that. You can, but you don't have to. So those features are really nice convenience features. And if you don't have any AI time left and you just got the game turned off and you're just completely logged out, it will actually reward you for taking a break. So you'll actually get some bonus items. You'll get, gold, you'll get certain currency, you'll get power-up items that increase based on the amount of time you've been offline. So the game also does, I think, a decent job of not sort of pressuring you to constantly have to be connected. Have I spent money? Yes. I would approximate... yeah, I have spent money on the game. And then Octobob, I saw your comment is highly sus in terms of the cryptocurrency aspect, which I can see where you're coming from. Like I said, I know a lot of people are concerned about that. Time will tell. I mean, it's so early. We're on, like, day I guess 7 of the game. We're 1 week in. And, I mean, I will say it is very, very obvious that there are certain people who are definitely taking advantage of those sorts of systems to monetarily gain. From everything I can tell, though, I mean, you get very great... I mean, every day resets and you get a reward of a bunch of items that will push you to that next tier, push you to that next level. Also, do you curse for the channel redeem? I'm not sure. Oh, Halton, do I personally curse? I'm sorry, you're talking for the channel point redemption. Not super often. It depends on the game I'm playing. So I will be honest. If you are not looking for a gacha, steer clear of this game because it has heavy gacha elements. What I will say is the aspect where it is overwhelmingly pay to win is in PvP. I think that PvP is a fun mechanic. I think it's set up well. I think that the gameplay is rewarding. But I mean, I'll show you the difference between fighting somebody who is on... I've out-geared this individual. And they still may potentially have a chance. So, you know, a lot of the major PvP components, the major PvP fights, you can... And they may even beat me here. They have a bunch of stuns. You know, the PvP mechanics in the game are set up in that... I am definitely going to lose that. I mean, you're talking somebody who is, what, 23,000 CP under? Can beat somebody who... I mean, essentially is... I want to say the CP difference there could be equatable to about 3 or 4 actual levels, or just a genuinely good amount of sort of gear upgrades and things. But they pretty handily won that battle by choosing that loadout they had. They were running a really high tier stun PvP familiar, and you could tell they were really in whether it was purposeful or not. They were running a lot of gear that was really, really good at shutting down people in PvP, so they can take them on. But where pay to win is obnoxious is when we look at... I mean, here's a prime example. I may be starting drama here because I don't personally know this, but you have some people in the game... Now, granted, you get pretty massive boosts to your power scores that are just exorbitantly stronger than where the majority of people are sort of in the game, who are, I would say, kind of the top players. And again, this kind of comes into territory, in my opinion, with gachas. You're going to have people who are your sort of 0.1% spenders who... If you're looking for a game but you want to like be the absolute best and you want that best to be completely skill dependent, it's not gonna happen. So I do think in my book this game gets knocked some points from the aspect of not taking advantage of the chance for equalized PvP. There is a heavy pay to win element of PvP, and outside of that, I know I'm saying a lot of cons. I think if you look at, and this is being captured on the PC version of the game, if you look at mobile MMORPGs, this has got to be near the top in terms of a game that I just would highly, highly recommend to somebody who's just looking for a great experience, a great story, a cool environment. There's this very sort of Pokemon-esque pet system of these, I mean, just frankly adorable pets that have unique qualities. There's pet battles, there's special modes. I mean, the wealth of content I have gotten to enjoy in the week I've played this is astronomical. It's insane. So on PC mode, it's capped at 120 frames, and it runs it beautifully. Very, very well optimized for PC, even in kind of the beta client that it's in. I've also played it on an iPhone 13 Pro, so a really high-spec phone. Runs perfect. Slight pet peeve there, they capped the frame rate at 50 frames for some reason on mobile devices, and I'm not sure why. Because it seems like it could probably run a little bit higher. But the performance is shockingly good. The large-scale battles, there are world bosses. There are these sort of chaos fields that are set up like kind of Diablo style, you know, infinite farms. You've got these cool like instance PvP or player versus environment boss battles that are awesome. And the big, I would say, major plus for me, I am a sucker for world bosses. And this game features these things called field bosses. And field bosses are... There's currently 4 of them. They spawn at different intervals throughout the day. And the only thing that limits how many people can fight them is how many people can get stuffed into the same instance of a zone or the same channel. So, I mean, there have been fights I have participated against some of these guys where there had to have been 100 of us fighting together. And, I mean, I will say the field bosses create a true kind of sense of just this kind of epic scale. The raid bosses are these kind of world bosses that spawn. And for these, you get spawned in with a limit of only 50 people. You cannot have more than 50. And they are really challenging. In my experience of just queuing kind of solo, you can't bring any more than a party of 5 into them. And you're going to be working with, you know, 45 other people. It takes... Everybody has to be tuned to the right. They have to be using the right element weakness against them. They have to be really kind of on their game to be able to take down these bosses, which I just really, really enjoy that kind of extra element to it. Admittedly, some of the equipment systems seem to be... The RNG reminds me of very sort of Lost Ark-esque kind of honing systems. Some of the luck is just horrendously low. Especially as you kind of get your gear a little bit higher and higher. Admitted, you know, that has been one thing that's been certainly difficult. Difficult to deal with, difficult to kind of manage. You know, having something like a... I don't even have the material for it. I mean, even here, having something like a 65% enhancement rate is difficult. I mean, we'll give it a shot here. We did happen to be successful for it. And I will say there is a nice kind of catch-up mechanic there where you are protected and getting these higgledy... You can give these guys these clovers and they kind of passively level you up. In terms of your power. So I will say that there are a lot of mechanics that are built into it that I think people at their surface level are going to look at and be like, ugh. And admittedly, some of them even have me a little reserved. But there do seem to be a good amount of quality of life changes to sort of protect you from just being stuck in misery, where, you know, you may... I haven't yet gotten the sense of just spending hours and hours and hours farming mats just to be utterly disappointed because I got nothing out of it, so... The game is fantastic to play with friends. The game is one of the... It is very Genshin Impact-like in terms of its just sheer mass and its sheer... I mean, it is just a big, big game with a lot to do. So I can say I can wholeheartedly recommend this game, really, to anybody looking for a new game. Anybody looking for something new to check out, looking for a new MMO, looking for a fun, free-to-play or free-to-start, I should say, and technically free-to-play mobile game. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I definitely think it's worth a shot. Time will tell if the longevity will kind of hold out. Time will tell if the cryptocurrency aspect is going to be as diabolical as folks are concerned with. My kind of weekend impressions are that the crypto aspect is kind of a really almost hilarious counter to people who are just throwing thousands and thousands of dollars into the game. As somebody who's played a lot of gachas, it's somewhat satisfying to watch people who are just insanely powerful get shut down by some means other than having to match them thousands on thousands of dollars to keep up with them. So I don't know if everybody finds it as funny. I know they don't. But I personally am fine with taking my seat out of the top 10, maybe top 25, maybe top 50, maybe even top 100 from people who are, you know, let's just put it nicely, financial. No, people are throwing their wallet at the game. But if you can kind of look past the ranking systems, if you can look past the I must pay here aspects, I think this game offers a unique, truly fun experience that just about anybody can enjoy. So those are my comments. Those are my thoughts. And I'd say overall, if I had to score this on like a scale of 10, we're sitting at a solid 8 out of 10. Pretty solid 8 out of 10. I think that, like any MMO, there's room to grow. There's a good amount of... And time will tell. Some of these systems could become more fleshed out and ironed out and better as the game goes on. And they could have the opposite. And they could become worse. So... I do continuing to play this game. I'm very excited for what the future of the game holds. And if you do have any questions, I stream it pretty regularly at my live channel, twitch.tv /master_Loti. And you are welcome to hop in and ask questions. And I think that is gonna wrap it up for impressions of Ni no Kuni, however you say it, Cross World.